They say the smallest detours can lead to the biggest turns in life. For me, it started with a cricket ball. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon. I had just returned from playing with my friends when I realized I'd left my cricket ball at my cousin Ryda's house. We had all gathered there the evening before, just cousins, laughter, snacks, and silly games in the backyard. I called her to ask if I could stop by. She said she was home alone and told me to come over. Ryda and I had always been close. We'd grown up together. She was just a year older, confident in a way that made others pause, with a kind of warmth that made people stay. Over the years, we drifted slightly, as life and school got in the way. But every now and then, we'd reconnect at weddings or family dinners, exchanging knowing glances and teasing memories. When I reached her house, the gate creaked open. The air felt still, almost heavy. She stood at the doorway, arms crossed, wearing a plain white t-shirt and jeans. Simple, but there was something different in her eyes, an intensity one couldn't name. "Come in," she said casually, stepping aside. I nodded, walking in and scanning the living room. I think the ball rolled under the sofa. As I crouched down to check, she walked to the kitchen and returned with a glass of juice, setting it down without a word. There was a strange silence, not awkward, but charged, like the air before a storm. I found the ball and stood up. "Got it," I said, smiling. "Thanks, Ryda. I'll head out." Before I could finish, she grabbed my wrist. It was soft but firm. Surprising. "Wait," she whispered, her eyes locked onto mine. "What's wrong?" I asked, confused. Without answering, she tugged gently and began leading me down the hallway. I followed, heart beginning to race. My voice caught in my throat as we stopped outside the bathroom door. "Ryda," I said, almost too softly. She didn't reply. Instead, she opened the door and pulled me inside with her, closing it behind us. The world outside faded. All I could hear was my own heartbeat. The room was small, dimly lit by the frosted window above. She didn't speak. Neither did I. We stood inches apart, two cousins, now trapped in a silence that felt anything but familial. Her breathing was steady, but her eyes held something I hadn't seen before. Something unreadable. I wanted to ask what this meant, why she'd done this, but the words never came. Something about that moment felt suspended, fragile. Then, she reached behind me and locked the door. The click of the lock echoed louder than it should have. My breath hitched, eyes searching hers for explanation, permission, anything to make sense of the moment. But Ryda stood calm, her back against the door, eyes unwavering. What are you doing?" I finally managed, my voice barely above a whisper. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stepped closer, just one step, and now we were inches apart again. The air felt thick. I could smell her shampoo, jasmine, soft and haunting, and I suddenly became hyper-aware of every movement, every heartbeat. "I don't know," she said finally, her voice low. "I just didn't want you to leave yet." My throat was dry. "But why in here?" She smiled, faintly. "Because out there, everything is normal. And in here, I don't have to pretend." Those words hit me like a wave. I didn't know what to say. We were cousins. We weren't supposed to be here like this. And yet, I didn't move. Some invisible force held me still, somewhere between guilt and curiosity. "I've always noticed how you look at me," she continued, eyes flickering down, then back to mine. "Even when we were kids. Especially now." I wanted to deny it, to laugh it off. But I couldn't lie, to her or to myself. There was always something unspoken between us. A closeness that felt like more. A gaze held too long. A compliment layered with something deeper. "I never meant to," I said quietly. "It just happened." She reached out and lightly touched my arm. "I'm not angry. Sometimes I wonder if I feel the same." Time slowed. Her fingers lingered. My heart was racing, but I didn't pull away. Everything about this was wrong, and yet there was something in her eyes that felt heartbreakingly sincere. Before either of us could speak again, a loud knock rang from the front door. We both froze. Another knock, louder this time. Her eyes widened. "It must be the delivery," she said, suddenly flustered. She turned quickly, unlocked the door, and stepped out. I followed in silence, my mind spinning. In the living room, she composed herself, straightening her hair and brushing invisible dust from her shirt. The knock came again. She glanced at me. "Go out the back. I'll cover for you." I nodded slowly, still unsure what had just happened, or what it meant. As I slipped out the back gate, the cricket ball still clutched in my hand, I knew something had shifted. I just didn't know how far it would go or how much it would cost. In the days that followed, silence became a language between us. We didn't talk about what happened. Not directly. But everything changed. Rita started sending messages, short, careful at first. "Did you make it home safe? I hope you're okay." And then, slowly, the tone shifted. I can't stop thinking about that moment. Do you feel the same? I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to pull away, to draw a line that should have never been crossed. But another part, the reckless, yearning part, couldn't resist her. I responded. I engaged. And once we started talking, we never really stopped. Our conversations deepened. She opened up about her loneliness, the pressure from family to settle down, the ache of feeling unseen. I confessed my confusion, my guilt, and my need to understand what this meant. Late-night calls became our norm. We spoke in whispers while everyone slept, our words soft and emotionally charged. There was no physical touch, but it didn't need that. The emotional intimacy was already dangerous enough. At family events, we exchanged subtle glances. I began looking for her in every room, feeling my chest tighten each time our eyes met. We'd find small moments alone, a walk to the store, lingering near the kitchen, quiet exchanges in crowded places. Each interaction added fuel to the fire, pulling us further into something neither of us fully understood. One evening, she asked me to meet her behind her house, the same backyard where we used to play as kids. The sun was setting, painting the sky in orange and lavender. She stood there, arms folded, waiting. I walked up slowly, my heart pounding in rhythm with my thoughts. "I've been thinking," she said, eyes not meeting mine. "Maybe we've gone too far." I swallowed hard. "Do you regret it?" "No," she said, looking at me now. "But I'm scared of where it's leading." Before I could respond, a phone rang. She pulled it from her pocket and answered briefly. Her expression shifted. Serious. Guarded. When she hung up, she sighed. "I have to tell you something." I waited. "I'm engaged," she said quietly. "My parents finalized it a few weeks ago. I didn't know how to tell you." I felt the ground shift beneath me. A storm of confusion, anger, and betrayal surged through me. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't want to stop this," she whispered. "Even if it was wrong, it made me feel alive." Her words cut deep. I realized I had been a secret escape, a distraction before the life she never chose. As she walked back toward the house, I stood frozen, alone again, with nothing but the sound of fading footsteps and the echo of a truth I never saw coming. I didn't sleep that night. Her words repeated endlessly in my mind. Even if it was wrong, it made me feel alive. What did that make me? A fleeting thrill before she stepped into a life that had already been chosen for her? For days, I avoided her. I ignored her messages, declined family invites, and shut myself off from the world. But emotions don't stay buried. They fester. And I knew I couldn't move forward until I confronted the storm inside me and the one she left behind. So I called her. We met at a small, quiet park where we used to play as kids. It felt ironic, how something so innocent could now feel like the stage for so much emotional weight. She sat on a bench, nervous, twisting her fingers. I sat beside her, keeping just enough distance. "I'm not here to blame you," I began. "I just need to understand. Was any of it real?" Her eyes filled with tears instantly. "It was," she said, her voice breaking. "But it was never meant to last. I knew that." "Then, why did you let it happen?" I asked, my tone calmer than I felt. "Why start something when you knew how it would end?" She looked at me, eyes brimming. Because I was lonely. I felt seen with you. I didn't want it to stop, even if it wasn't right. There it was, truth, unvarnished and painful. I gave you a part of me I didn't even know I had, I said quietly. And now, I have to carry the weight of what we were alone. She nodded slowly. I'm sorry. I really am. You didn't deserve this. A long silence followed. People passed by, children laughing, a couple walking their dog. The world continued as if nothing had happened. Eventually, I stood up. I need distance, Rita. Maybe one day we'll both look back and understand what this really was. But for now, I can't be around you. She didn't argue. She just looked down and nodded. I walked away, step by step, heart heavy but strangely lighter. There was no closure, no dramatic end. Just quiet acceptance that some connections, no matter how intense, aren't meant to survive the real world. That night, I sat alone in my room and opened a notebook. I wrote about everything, every glance, every word, every moment that changed me. It wasn't for anyone else. It was for me, to remember, to grieve, to grow. They say betrayal teaches you what you value most. For me, it taught me boundaries, self-worth, and the difference between affection and love. And maybe that's how real stories end, not with a kiss, but with understanding.